It's over. It's over. Thank God it's over. The Trump administration? Nah, that shit's got another 4 years. 4 years, 8 years. I don't know. It's got a lot. There's a four in it. Is it 4 years? Is it 14 years? Is it 40 years? I don't know. Trump administration's gonna be around a while longer. No, no, we finally got the last class, the Bottle web app framework in the can, being encoded right now. Oh, that's been hanging over my head. That's been hanging over my head for like a couple of weeks. I thought I was going to get that done like 2 weeks ago. And then I went on a little vacation, so it didn't get done right before the vacation. Then I came back and I got a little sick. And one thing leads to another. And yeah, now it is finally done. Remember, if you're a startup founder or a tech business entrepreneur, or you just have a fever dream, remember, your only job is to ship product. If you ship product, well, you might win. You might win. If you ship product, you're on the board. You're on the board. If you don't ship product, yeah, you're not a founder or an entrepreneur. That's what I always love to hear. People be like founders or they say they're entrepreneurs. And you're like, what do you ship? Oh, no, well, nothing yet. What I'm going to do is, yeah, that that means you're a wantrepreneur, which is a whole different story. An interesting thing to be thinking about, though. I was talking to a buddy of mine a little bit ago, and he just exited from an AI startup company. So he's in the AI vertical. He had his business or whatever for a number of years. He started doing AI before AI was cool. Hey, remember AI before ChatGPT? It really did exist. He created a business based off of something nobody realized was there. But anyways, he exited. He exited. We had a conversation. We had a conversation because he's trying to figure out what to do. Again, that whole idea of informational interviews. Informational interviews aren't just for noobs. He's like an MIT graduate. He's exited 3 startup companies. At least 2 of them successful. I'm not sure about that middle one. Anyways, done really well. But one of the reasons he wanted to talk was just to pick my brain about the world as I see it, so that he can figure out what to do next. Again, that's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. It's like, what happens when you close down your business? What do you do next? But anyways, that's one of the points of informational interviews. And anyways, I was talking to him, and they were talking about the whole AI thing. And the curious thing that he brought up, after exiting from an AI, from a successful AI venture, he literally said he didn't want to go into AI because the AI space is now too crowded. And this is why you got to go out and have some damn conversations. This is why you got to have some cups of coffee and talk with people, because it's the reality. It's not about what the pundits say. It's not about what you see on LinkedIn. It's what business people, successful business people are saying. And the thing that he brought up, he was like, when he was doing his AI thing, right? You know, you could talk about AI. You talk about AI and people that were in the AI space, people, not normies, but people that were in the AI space would be interested, and that was great. That was great for amplifying his message and getting advertising and all that kind of thing. But he talked about it, and he talked about like when DeepSeek came out. So DeepSeek debuted or whatever, like last week. Then he was like, Eli, there was like 10,000 LinkedIn posts about DeepSeek the first damn day it came out. And it was curious that he said this. He said that there is so much noise in the AI sphere, it's actually insanely hard to break out of the noise now. So when he started doing his thing years ago, right? People that cared about AI, again, AI's been around for a while. AI's been around for a while. Like people that cared about AI and were in the know about AI and could write checks based off of AI. When he said stuff, that could actually get traction because there wasn't that much noise out there. Anyway, the interesting thing they were saying is that there is literally so much noise in the AI sphere right now that it's damn near hard to get any traction and to actually be heard. And so, having exited successfully from an AI company, he's probably not going to go back into AI. So again, that's one thing, and again, that's where I talk about with things like macro forces and being successful. I talk about that with my little tech repair company or whatever. I started it in the era of XP Service Pack 1, right? Everybody had broadband. XP Service Pack 1 was a god-awful operating system. People had money, they had broadband, and XP sucked. That was so much money, right? It wasn't that I was smart or even that I was good. A lot of it was like what time you get into the market. And that's something to be thinking about. Again, a lot of people right now are like all into that AI play. But as Mike Rowe would say, if everybody's going in the direction of AI, maybe the way to success is to go in the opposite direction. But anyways, something to ponder from the real world. So let's talk today about Trump winning the trade war. We're gonna get so tired of winning. So anyways, I did a video yesterday of Trump starting the trade war. He started the trade war with Mexico, Canada, and China. The idea being is that too many illegal immigrants are coming in through Canada and Mexico, because Canada, that's what we worry about, and that fentanyl drugs are coming in. So China's manufacturing the drugs, which they are, and then it's getting in through Canada and through Mexico, and that's got to stop. We really have to punish everybody other than the Americans. It's kind of funny with this whole drug culture thing here. Our lives in the United States are so god-awfully miserable in so many ways that for generations at this point, we crave just incredibly destructive drugs to make our days go by. And then we punish everybody else. You know who should really deal with the American drug problem? Mexico. Like what? I don't know. Maybe if we had universal health care. Maybe if housing prices were reasonable. Right. If we had mental health. You notice that every time there's a mass shooting, the Republicans come out. The right-wing Christian Republicans say guns don't kill people. Sick people kill people. Mental health is the problem. And here's the thing: if I had a kid right now that I honestly was concerned with severe mental health problems, I don't know what I would do. It's funny. Christians like to point out the problems with mental health in our society. Don't seem to like to do a lot about it, other than punish brown people. But anyways, I'm not a Christian, so I don't know what to say about it. So anyways, he started this whole thing, right? 25% tariff was going to be on Mexico, 25% tariff was going to be on Canada, except for energy products would only be 10%, and then a 10% across the board tariff on China. And so I did the video yesterday. Talking about it and talking about how chaos is bad. Again, you don't necessarily need good policies. You don't necessarily need good regulations or taxes. You just need stable ones. As business people, the big thing with business people is you sign contracts. The shortest contract you're going to sign is a year. Some of the contracts are 5 years, 10 years, even longer than that. And so one of the things you want to know is just what the hell the business environment is, right? You can have horrible taxes, you can have horrible regulations, but if you can chart a course through that and you're pretty confident with that course, you're willing to sign contracts. If maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's in the middle, today it's a little better, tomorrow it's a little worse, then it's great, then it's horrible. The problem is again, are you going to sign contracts? Again, think about this with things with again, like with import and export. Again, do you invest in more warehouse space, right? So there's something called a just-in-time inventory we've had now for 20 years at least. And the idea with just-in-time inventory is that the whole logistics system is supposed to be so smooth that as you need components, they get to the factory. So essentially the idea is if a auto manufacturer needs 1,000 dashboards, right? Today, they will literally get 1,000 dashboards today and 1,000 dashboards tomorrow and 1,000 dashboards the day after that. And the idea then is that you save money. It becomes more efficient because you don't need as much warehouse space. Again, if you go back 40 years, if you're an auto manufacturer and you're building cars, you would stockpile 20,000 dashboards and 20,000 radios and 20,000 wheels. You'd stockpile all of this because you weren't sure of the supply chain. Sometimes you get more product, sometimes you get less product, and so you have all these warehouses. warehouses cost money. Not only did the warehouses cost money, but buying the product beforehand, right? If I only have to buy a product essentially when it gets sold, that means it's a lot less in capital expense. I don't have to have all of this stuff, basically all of this inventory, all of this CapEx investment just sitting there and gathering dust. And again, what happens if the product fails or whatever? And now not only is it collecting dust, it's literally essentially rotting there, right? So there's this whole just-in-time inventory system we've had for about 20 years. And so when you have these tariffs and all that kind of stuff, and you have all this confusion in the market, well, do you keep just-in-time inventory, which is a much more efficient and cost-effective way of doing manufacturing? Or if you're worried about slowdowns at the border, do you build warehouses? And if you do build a warehouse, how big is the warehouse that you build? And if you build that, what parts? What components? Maybe some components are still going to be just-in-time inventory and some components are going to be warehouse. Are you going to figure it out? Where is the money going to come from? This is all the kind of stuff that business people have to figure out. But don't worry, the Trump administration said that's their problem. Oh, that was the most hilarious thing. I saw one of the Trump administration officials. Literally, when the whole chaos thing was brought up with all this chaos that Trump is causing, literally said that's the CEO's responsibility. Their job is to figure it out. Oh my God. So even the business president is an asshole to business owners. I thought that's why we wanted a Republican president. I thought the point of having a Republican president is that he'd be nicer to the business owners. But even the Republican president's like, fuck the business owners. So anyways, right, so we're going to have this trade war against Mexico and Canada. And then it was funny because Mexico comes to the table and says, okay, we'll send 10,000 troops. We'll send 10,000 troops to the border. Well, hey, who the fuck knows? And so Trump was like, okay, we'll give you a 1 month delay. So tariffs haven't been taken off the table. They begin a 1 month delay. So last week there were no tariffs. Then over the weekend he said there's going to be 25% tariffs. And now he says, no, the 25% tariffs aren't going to be there. This whole thing is going to be delayed for a month, in which he gets to make a decision. Can you imagine what this is like if you have to write $5 million worth of checks? If you have to plan for the future, how does that get planned for? And then Canada, right? So Canada, again, like, I don't know. There may be arguments about Canada. I have never met one KK motherfucker who's looked at Canada. So the problem with the Canadians is all those people come across the border. Canadian immigration, it's ridiculous. But anyways, right? So Canada was like, fuck y'all. Like we're gonna do trade war retaliation. They were gonna put 25% tariffs on goods coming in. They were gonna directly target. Products coming out of red states. Not only that, like Ontario was ripping up the contract to Starlink. They were like, fuck y'all. And then Trump was like, they misunderstand. They think this is a trade war. It's not a trade war. It's whatever the fuck. Fever dream. Anyways, so apparently they came to the table and they said, yeah, we'll give you some more support on some bullshit. So now the tariffs have gone away. So the tariffs for Canada and Mexico, they did not exist last week, but were going to exist yesterday, or I guess today, Tuesday, now no longer exist for a delay of 1 month. China's just like, fuck y'all. And they're implementing their own tariffs, and they're going to take us to the WTO, and we're going to see how that works out. Not only that, but then I guess Panama, because Trump is talking about taking over Panama, whatever that's about, basically acquiesced, and they dropped out of a Belt and Road Initiative that they were part of with China, and so now Trump is taking the victory laps. I'm just sitting here going, Jesus Christ. Maybe I didn't want Biden to have caffeine. I spent 4 years saying, give this old motherfucker a cup of coffee. I was like, maybe Biden would actually be a good president if somebody introduced him to Starbucks. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when I might have been wrong. Now we're seeing when an old geezer gets all hopped up on Diet Coke. It's the same insane batshit ideas. He's just caffeinated, and he thinks that he's winning, and everybody's clapping. All of his people are clapping. Remember Biden? Biden couldn't answer a goddamn question properly, and people are still clapping. This is a great president. Trump's throwing us into utter chaos, and his side, this is a great president. Holy shit, can we just have sane fucking policy? Can we have sane policy that lasts more than 3 days? That is going to be the question. Because again, along with all this stuff, USAID apparently is being destroyed, being dismantled. $72 billion in money USAID puts out every year. And God knows what's going to happen with that. Again, the thing I talk about with the economy. So you gotta have money moving through the economy. And so you have $72 billion in economic activity has a massive question mark on it, literally all of a sudden. Apparently 20% of the federal workforce, it appears, or 20,000, maybe it's not 20%, 20,000 of the federal workforce has agreed to whatever frickin' layoff policy that Trump has put out there. 1,000 EPA employees apparently are on the chopping block. All of this is being done like within 2 weeks. What's the response going to be? How is this all going to work out at the end? Who the hell knows? He's still talking about using military force to take over Greenland. It's always funny with these presidents. They always say, we support our soldiers. And then they use them for the most reckless crap while they're not insulting the hell out of them. I mean, did you hear about that? Again, with the whole Black Hawk helicopter and the aircraft and the hit. Yeah, it was a woman pilot. It was a woman pilot in that Black Hawk helicopter. And you know what that worthless piece of shit Trump was trying to do? Was trying to basically insult a soldier, saying this is all DEI. Again, it's funny. It's you salute the soldiers and you respect the soldiers all the way up until you can fucking shit on them. Bone spur ass piece of fucking garbage. Can you imagine that fat ass piece of shit being given an M16 and being told to take a fucking hill? Motherfucker would have a fucking heart attack getting out of the foxhole. But anyways, that doesn't fucking matter. He's being a real man. That's what a masculine man does. Shit on our fucking soldiers. But anyways, that gets my hackles up. So yeah, now we're in this weird world, and he's talking about putting the tariffs again onto the UK and onto Europe. What will the tariffs be? What will be the hoops those poor jackasses have to jump through? Who the fuck knows? As long as somebody's dancing to that greasy little pieces of shits, song. That's all he's happy about. Oh, I hate Biden. Biden got us into this mess. Even this I can blame on Biden. If Biden had done his damn 4 years, they had done a real primary, we would not be dealing with Trump right now. Trump is fucking Biden's fault all day long. And that's the worst part. It's like, oh, Eli, you want the Democrat? No, the Democrats are, I don't know. They're arguing over how many binaries, non-binaries equal a woman. Oh, what has happened to the Democrats? Have you seen that? There's that clip going out there, and again, for all their, for the Democratic National Convention or whatever, the party. Basically, they're talking about these gender quotas, and so there's a quota for men and a quota for women, and then like a quota for non-binary. It's like how many non-binaries make a binary? Just like, oh fuck me. We have a president literally talking about using military force to invade Greenland. And I don't even know what math, what the hell? So yeah, if there's any foreigners out there, aka non-Americans, yeah, you might want to decouple from us. I fear America may have jumped the shark. As an American, I fear that America may in fact have jumped the shark. I'll be curious. I'm not curious. I am dreading where the hell this is going. I think about that again. I read a lot of history books. Again, to be clear, I don't know if modern Hollywood is woke. It is boring as hell. So I don't watch a lot of movies anymore. I don't even watch a lot of TV anymore. I read history books essentially, and that's one of the interesting things with history books is you go back and you see these civilizations that fail, and I always think about that statement, right? Basically, like societies fail slowly and then all at once. The idea that there's little chinks, there's little problems, and then the entire fucker collapses. It's like you chink away at the unions, you chink away at workers' rights, you chink away at the healthcare system, you chink away at our education system. You keep doing all these things. You keep again Obama and Biden and Trump using our monetary system as essentially a weapon of war, using our legal system, lawfare, and all that kind of stuff. And then there's just that certain point when it all just goes. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like one of the reasons that the American economy, whether or not we're successful, that's a question. One of the reasons the American economy has been successful is because we've been the least stupid of a world of stupid countries. Like that's one of the most fucked up things. Again, like when the Great Recession happened, right? The Great Recession. We caused the Great Recession. We oopsied. Oops. Sorry. Anyways, the worst part about the disaster of the Great Recession is that money actually got pulled out of third world countries. Get this for a second. Get how fucking stupid this is. Reality for you. So basically, right, we caused the Great Recession, caused all this economic turmoil. The issue is, right, in a lot of the third world countries or even the second world countries, right, the emerging markets, there wasn't enough confidence in their systems. Like the people that actually had money, the people that built something, the people that had wealth, that people had that had assets, they looked at their own countries and said, "We're not sure about the foundations of our country." So they started pulling money out of their own countries to invest it into the United States. Because in the United States might have been a bag of cats, but at least it kind of, they had confidence in that bag of cats. So literally, the United States, caused the Great Recession, afterwards, a tremendous amount of money got pulled out from the rest of the world's economies to get dumped into our economy because most people felt more secure putting their money into our system rather than their system. Again, an interesting thing to start thinking about with Trump screwing around tariffs, with the Biden administration screwing around these GPUs and this chips thing and all that garbage, with what our presidents are doing with the absolute assumption that we are superior. Again, as I say with anybody, right? If you have the supremacy mindset, you're going to get screwed because it's just not a good mindset to have. And if you listen to the Trump administration, it's interesting. I was listening to one of the Trump spokespeople or whatever, and they were saying America has to have the best economy in the world. Think about that for a second. That's just dumb. We have the best economy in the world currently. Again, economy kind of sucks for the people. Man, I wish that was my economy. My economy is doing so well. Anyways, right? But the interesting thing is, right, this idea that we have to have the best economy in the world. It's manifestly obvious that we have to have the best economy in the world. But if you look at it, in the last century, 100 years ago, basically all the dominant civilizations in the world shot their own damn feet off, right? Again, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, China, these countries, the actual superior, societies of their era, decided to take shotguns and blow both of their legs off. And that's one of the reasons why we had the American century. It's because when all the other players on the board incapacitate themselves, it's really easy to become number one for some reason. I don't know how we became number one. We became number one because we're superior. Well, maybe, right? But if you look at it, right, the countries are turning around. Again, China is China, Japan is Japan, Europe is Europe. Things have turned around. Things have changed. It is not the last century. right? And so, as we go forward and we look at it, and you look at China has God knows how many billion people. When you look at India has God knows how many billion people. When Europe, again, it gets confused when you talk about the EU. There's all these numbers. I don't know, something like 800 million. There's a lot of people in Europe, right? These blocks are just larger than we are. The thought that we will continue to have a superior economy infinitum when you have China, which has at least three, probably four, at some point maybe five X our people, right? Even if GDP, even if per capita was half of what we are, right? That still means their economy would be double what ours is. Literally, again, if they had a per capita earnings of what we do, they would have a 4x economy than we do. I mean, not even close, not even close. Again, if you look at India, if India turns things around, they would have a 3 or 4x economy overall. If Europe turned their thing around, they'd have a 2 or 3x economy, right? If you look at 200 million people and you look at a plot of land, or 300 million people and you look at a plot of land, the reality is just brass tax numbers. At some point, there will be superior economies. And so the idea that the Trump administration is coming out and saying that is manifestly obvious that we must always have the largest economy is just absurd. And then again, it's the same thing with the military. If you notice that, if you listen to the Trump administration, and again, I love how these political jackasses that would piss their fucking pants in a goddamn foxhole keep talking about using our soldiers willy-nilly. Right? And again, this idea, we must have the superior military. And notice, we don't have to have a military that will defend the United States. We don't have to have a military that will defend the United States and be able to support our NATO allies in a war. Right? Again, there's a lot. Again, we talk about words, and we talk about the meanings of words, right? We require the ability to both defend ourselves and go on offense. Whatever. But if you notice, if you listen to the Trump administration, we must have the superior military. Which means Trump, is beating the drums of war yet again. As another politician who goes into the office talking about how we need to get out of these military encounters around the world, all of a sudden wants to get us into military encounters around the world. And in this chaos that's being created in the first 2 weeks of his administration, what does that bode going forward? And again, I think about this again with the non-Americans. If I was a Canadian, I would say fuck the United States right now. I would not buy another goddamn American thing I didn't have to. I want to buy American alcohol. I mean, hell, I guess not buying American movies probably isn't a loss. They probably stopped doing that anyway. But, right? Again, if you have a senile old bastard hopped up on Diet Coke who's literally talking about Canada should be the next state for the United States, and you're a Canadian, how can you swallow that at night? And how can you feel comfortable with your country being so connected to the United States? Again, all of our allies out there. When we talk about literally using military force against a NATO ally, again, as a European, Christ, how does that make you feel? And where does that put our standing in the world? And are we actually superior enough? Again, it's that whole risk tolerance thing, right? There's the idea that China is there a Chinaman. But again, if you look at the risk that we're talking about literally militarily attacking our NATO allies. We're talking about going out, and we are going after economically, literally our neighbors, including Canada. At what point is China overall less of a risk than we are? And what does that mean for our businesses and everything else? I don't know. So we won. We won the war, maybe. Wow. China won, or Trump won the war, kind of like we won the last few wars. Remember when we won in Afghanistan? Remember when we won in Iraq? we're just gonna get so tired of winning. So I don't know. We'll see. Again, it is interesting because again, like as being brought up in the United States, all we get told about is the separation of powers. One of the cornerstones of our society is a separation of powers. That no branch of federal government is too powerful, right? You got the executive, you got the legislative, and you got your judicial, and they all have equal power. And then you're like, well, unless somebody comes in that doesn't give a fuck. and then it seems a hell of a lot more questionable. So yeah. I don't know. Go back to talk about technology tomorrow. Hopefully we'll go back to talk about technology. Yeah, that's what do you say about the whole Trump world? Well, that's what they say about the Trump world. You just don't even know. You're just like, hey, we won. Hey, we won. Hey. This war that we started has been put on pause for 30 days. See, Trump is so good that he was able to pause the war he started for 30 days. Oh, you were scared of the war? Don't worry. Trump was such a good negotiator. He paused his own war. Fuck. So anyways, what do you think about this crap? What do you think about this crap? It's a hell of a thing. I think about that. Again, it's like I talk about that with the British Empire. Right, for my grandparents' generation, grandparents' generation, when they were born, the sun never set on the British Empire. And now we're looking at the 2020s, and there's actually there's a possibility that Britain might not even own its own island anymore. that literally the UK or whatever will simply be like England and Wales and maybe Northern Ireland. They don't even have Scotland anymore. Britain has gone. The United Kingdom has gone from an empire that spanned the globe to half an island. Might be half an island at a certain point. And again, I do wonder if we're on the slow boat to that for the United States. Because who can trust us? Again, if business requires stability, how do you make decisions in this environment? And the people that are making decisions and the people that are being successful, is it good business decisions or is it simply manipulating outcomes? If you understand there's going to be chaos here, so the value of this drops and the value of this goes up. If you can basically arbitrage chaos, you can make a lot of money. But that's basically ransacking our society. You're making your wealth off of mining the foundations of our society. Where does that push us forward? Fuck. Biden. I'm going to hate Biden to the day I die. I'm going to be 100 years old or something. People be around me. I feel like, Biden. Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you are interested in education and all that, again, do education. I got done with that Bottle Web App Framework class. So that is in the can. Let me look. Is it finished? Oh, look at that. It is finished now. So I get to upload that, and then I get to go off and talk about SQLite. Structured query language. Yay. Anywho, see y'all later.